and Amber. Yeah, hello everybody, and welcome to another Kansas Missing and Unsolved podcast. I'm your host Ricky Chaburgi, and joining me again is May tonight and Hope over there, the 70 Circle podcast. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm keeping busy.
Right?
Never enough time in the day, let me tell you.
There isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to get my brother to the hospital for surgery yesterday. He's still recouping from that, and I'm sure everybody's noticed by now I put up his GoFundMe where he's trying to get some funds built up to help with his medical expenses and lost wages because he's going to be off work for probably the next couple of weeks. So there's a link on there if anybody wants to help my brother out a little bit. He's also a co-admin on Kansas Missing and Unsolved. So you can go there to his link and click on that and donate if you want to. I know he'd greatly appreciate it. And other than that, just doing the doings.
Right.
Yeah, and there's my brother. Greetings from the hospital.
Yeah. Which one is it? Terry. That one. There you go.
Right there.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, Terry. Soon.
Yeah.
He goes by Double T on this show.
Yeah.
Double T.
Yeah. Yesterday was a long day. I had to get him there at 6:45 in the morning. They didn't get him wheeled back to the operating room until 8:45, and by the time they got done, and he was in recovery and finally put in a room, it was 1:15 in the afternoon. So it was a very long day.
Yeah.
I was up there for a good 10 hours. So wasn't able to get much accomplished on Kansas Missing and Unsolved yesterday, but today I made up for it. Oh man, everybody popping in. Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Hello, everybody.
How you doing, Donda? How you doing, Heather? How you doing, Vanessa, Esther, Chris, Ellen, Israel? I try.
That's sweet. Family is everything, man.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Oh man. Well, we got a good caseload tonight, and I had to pull out a couple last minute because they were located safe. Thank goodness. Always nice to be able to have to pull them because they were located safe.
Absolutely.
Gotta like that. Okay, let's start off with Dietrich Foster here, and forgive me because I'm going to be scrambling a little bit. I wasn't able to get everything pulled quick enough tonight because they had an Amber Alert come down, and I wanted to get it done and posted before the show, and it ran me late getting myself ready to rock and roll and everything. But it's Dietrich Foster, missing from Independence, Kansas since April 12, 2020. He was 37 when he went missing. He's now 41. He's 5'9", 190 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. He was reported missing on May 12th of 2020. He was last seen around April 12th of 2020. In Independence, KBI agents and detectives for the Independence Police Department are conducting the case as a homicide based upon findings during the investigation into Dietrich's disappearance. And at the time of his disappearance, Dietrich was 37. He's now 41. He's 5'9" tall, weighs 190 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes, has a scar on his chest from heart surgery and a scar on the right side of his nose. Has the following tattoos: a cross on his right forearm, the astrological sign for Gemini on his right arm, 3 dice on his arm, the name Dejeuner on his arm, and the word Foo on his abdomen. If you have any information regarding Dietrich's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Independence, Kansas Police Department at 620-332-1700 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And there is a governor's reward of $5,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the disappearance and suspected murder of Dietrich Foster. So if you have any information at all, no matter how small you think it might be, please get that called in. You know, I've said it before, it could be a huge piece of what they need to put this thing together and get him found. And if he was indeed murdered, somebody arrested for it, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I just saw a comment that was from Kansas Missing that it was a link. Was that to the Dietrich Foster page or yeah, that one?
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
the
Dietrich
that's the page to the Dietrich Foster's page that's dedicated to his case.
Okay, cool. Cool. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Alexander Perez should have some more hearings coming up on his behalf. I'm going to talk to our source later on this week and see what's going on with that.
Okay. Have you been able to make it over there to any of the trials or hearing, or not the trials, but the hearings or anything?
No, they had that 3-day hearing, and I couldn't make it. And then I also hit my source said they were only going to be talking about Alexander for a small portion of that because I guess the guy's got quite a few charges against him. But I'll find out. I'll give an update next week to see where we're at on that case.
Cool. Sounds good. Hope he can bring us back some good information. But yeah, Alex is missing from Ulysses, Kansas since December 1st of 2020. He was 35 when he was missing. He's now 38. 5'11", weighs 235 pounds, black hair that he shaves nearly bald, and brown eyes. He'd called a family member via telephone on December 1st and said he'd be coming to their home to do laundry. He never arrived at that family member's home in Ulysses, and he has not been heard from or seen by family or friends since then. He had been staying with family and friends prior to his disappearance. Again, at the time of his disappearance, he was 35. He's now 38. He's 5'11", weighs 235 pounds, has black hair that he shaves nearly bald, and brown eyes. He has a tattoo of a bumblebee on his face underneath his left eye. He has Perez tattooed on one of his arms. He has a tattoo of a cross on the chain across his chest. If you have any information, goodness. If you have any information regarding Alexander's disappearance, or you know his whereabouts, please call the Grant County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-356-3500 or the Ulysses, Kansas Police Department at 620-356-4600 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 or their other number 800-572-7463 and see if we can get Alex located and back home to his family. Because I know this has been almost 4 years, and I know they're wanting to get him found and home. And if he hasn't indeed been a victim of foul play, I know they want to lay him to rest and have somewhere to go to grieve and everything. So see if we can't make that happen.
Yes. And I know there's people out there that know something.
Oh yeah, I'm a firm
Just
believer of that.
things, but that fear will keep you from doing the right thing.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that somebody knows something on just about all of these cases. There may be an exception to the rule here or there, but I'm a firm believer that somebody's got to know something. Now, this is our friend Kenny Rychek's been missing from here in Salina, Kansas since November 4th, 2019. He was 69 when he went missing. He's now 74. He's 5'9", 175 pounds, gray hair, blue eyes. He does sometimes use the last name Brown. He does suffer from diminished mental health capabilities, and he is on disability, but has not tried to access the funds since he was last seen. He may have family in Northwest Kansas, possibly around the Colby area. He was last seen at the Gospel Mission in Salina. He left there and has not been seen or heard since then. Kenny does not have a phone, a vehicle, or identification. His mode of transportation was riding a bicycle around town to pick up scrap metal to sell for some pocket money because his payees were not real good about making sure he had pocket money, I'm told. One has since passed away, and the other one, I guess, is still living. But again, at the time of his disappearance, Kenny was 69. He's now 74, 5'9", 175 pounds, gray hair and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Kenny's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210, or you can call Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477, or text SA Tips to Crimes, which is 274-637, or visit www.pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip, or call KBI at 785-296-4017. And see if we can help get Kenny located and back here to where he needs to be. And I was going to tell you, Derek, I was talking to a mutual friend of mine that's also a friend of Kenny's, that she was telling me she does have some photos of Kenny, and she's going to get them gathered up and let me see them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Did you catch that, Derek?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm looking forward to getting those pictures, speaking at them, and then just learn more about Kenny.
I'm going to see if she'll let me borrow them and see if I can scan a few of them onto my computer and maybe add them to the flyer or something, maybe. So I think that would be pretty cool to do. Kind of give us some variances on what they look like and stuff. You know, and I've talked about it in the last couple of shows where Saline County Sheriff's Department had found a partial skull on West Magnolia out pretty close to Centennials in a creek bed. Some mushroom hunters actually found it. And then the Sheriff's Department went investigated, and they found additional remains in a dilapidated tent out there. And they do have that fundraiser that they're working on, trying to raise the funds to get the remains sent to a better lab to do more thorough testing on them, to get better DNA profile, because the first lab, they're the lab they've sent them to first, or the only one they've sent them to so far. They said they couldn't get a complete enough profile for from the DNA they could get, so they want to go to a different lab that has better resources and better technology to see what they can get, but they need help with the money end of it. And it is posted on KMU. We posted it in the comments last show. If we could try to get that posted in the links again for this show, that would be good, in the comments to this show. So I want to make sure we keep that out there. I need to reshare that post so I can get it back up to the top, because I definitely want to make sure we do all we can to help get that money raised to see who it is.
Right.
I have my theories of who I think it is, but I won't go into it until they can actually test and find out for sure. But I have my theories, because they said that they believe the remains were male, and they believe the time frame between the time the man died and the time the remains found were about a year. So I did some research on KBI and the missing persons cases there, and there was only one person in the Saline County listings that even came close to their guesstimation of a year, and that was Kenny. So I do not know if it is him or not, but like I said, he is the closest fit to their estimate of being a year between when the man died and when his remains were found. So just have to wait and see if they can get that money raised, and see if they can't get it to a better lab and get him identified and see who it is. So
Yeah, that
hopefully.
would be great if we could get them identified, and, you know, regardless of who it is, get them back to their families.
Yeah, for sure. Because I know there's a family hurting somewhere that wants their loved one back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The only other thing I could think of is either somebody that might have been missing from out of town that wound up here, or maybe it's somebody that went missing that's never been reported. There's another thought I had.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just hard to say. So we just, need to do all we can to help Sheriff's Department get to their goal. I think they were wanting 7,000, I think it was. They were trying to raise, and they were up to around 3,600, I think. So
Like
they're
that.
getting there. They're getting
Right
there.
now they're at 3,867, so they still got a ways to go.
Cool. It's come up though, because when I first started talking about it, it was only like a 3,600. So they picked up a little. So yeah, we just got to keep pushing it forward. All right, now we're going to talk about Rochelle Hammond up there in Colorado. Rochelle Elizabeth Hammond, missing from Moscow, Colorado since August 15, 2019. She was 30 when she went missing. She's now 35. 5'6", 120 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. And she was last seen walking away from a Moscow, Colorado home. She left all her belongings behind, including her phone, her ID, her medication, her car, her computer, her tools, and her pet dog. Rochelle had only been living in the area for about 3 weeks prior to her disappearance. She'd previously lived in the Columbus, Ohio area. She may be living homeless. Although police can find little evidence in her disappearance, her mother believes she did not leave of her own accord and may have been a human trafficking victim. Rochelle does suffer from bipolar and schizophrenia and has been prescribed medication for her conditions, which she did, as we mentioned, leave behind also. Her nose is pierced. She has numerous tattoos, including the phrase "live like a lion" on her upper chest. a star behind her ear, a skull on the back of her wrists, stars on the inside of her forearm, a cat with a bong on her shoulder, and other tattoos. And there's some of them pictured down there at the bottom there. The live like a lion, the cat with the bong, the stars, that kind of thing. She was last known to be wearing a black tank top, khaki shorts, black Nike shoes, and a silver circular barbell in her nose. If you have any information regarding Rochelle's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Alamosa County, Colorado Sheriff's Office at 719-589-6608 and see if we can help get Rochelle located and back home to her mom, because I know her mom's really, really wanting to get her home, and and I can feel for her, I really do.
Yeah. Ricky, I did some research on Mosca, Colorado, and it's famous for their sand dunes out there.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, and I'm sitting here looking at pictures of them, and I can only imagine walking out into them and, not being able to find your way back.
Right.
I mean, it's scary looking. Of course,
Right.
I'm from Southwest Kansas, where we have rolling plains.
Right.
And I mean, we got blow sand, but nothing like that.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And their population is only 1,772.
That's a small town.
Yeah.
That's definitely a small town. Wow. That'd be one of those towns where you think everybody knows everybody and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
There's a Facebook group, Finding Rochelle Hammond. It's right there pinned on the screen, and it's also
You
in
see
the
that?
comments. Kansas Missing and Unsolved.
cool. Thank you. Appreciate you bringing those links up for those pages. I try to link them to the flyers when I can, but I don't always get them. This is another Salina case. Haley Davis, another tragic one. She's missing from here in Salina, Kansas. It's July 21st, 2023. She was 19 when she went missing. She's now 20. She's 5'6" to 5'7", weighs between 190 and 200 pounds. Her hair was last known to be dyed bleach blonde, and she has blue eyes. She left Salina, Kansas with a male acquaintance to go to Wichita, Kansas. She was last active on her social media and last heard from on July 21st. Again, at the time of her disappearance, she was 19. She's now 20. She's 5'6" to 5'7" inches tall and weighs between 190 and 200 pounds. Her hair was last known to be dyed bleach blonde, as we mentioned, and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Haley's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477 or text SA Tips to Crimes, which is 274-637, or visit www.pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip that way. Or you can also call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-268-4181 or 316-268-4407 or 316-263-6011 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. I talked about this before. I added the Wichita Police Department information because my understanding is they are now involved in the investigation on the Wichita end of it. So if you're in the Wichita area and you have any information on it, call the Wichita Police Department and let them know. Otherwise, if you're in the Salina area, call the Salina Police Department here and let them know, and see if we can't get Haley found and back to her family also. Yeah, I went to the vigil for Haley Davis back around the time of the anniversary of her disappearance, and it was a pretty somber occasion. Talked to her aunt, talked to her brother, and there's a lot of tears and a lot of pain going on with that situation. So if we can help get Haley found and back home, that would be terrific.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not just for her family, but for that, for her baby,
Yeah.
Yeah, I did get a chance to see her young son. I didn't talk to him, but I did get a chance to see him. He's a rambunctious little guy. All right. And I think I saw you had Dana Bruce up there just a minute ago. Yeah, another one we have been recovering religiously for a very long time. Dana Jane Bruce, missing from Sedalia, Missouri since October 4th, 2008. She was 23 when she went missing. She'd now be 39. She's 5'2", 98 pounds, brown hair or green or hazel eyes. She was last seen at her children's babysitter's home in Sedalia. She left the children there earlier that day so she could go out for the evening. She returned at midnight and gave the babysitter more money and asked her to watch the children for the rest of the night. Dana was last seen at Malone's Bar on Main Street with a young man driving a late model red Ford F-150 truck earlier on the night of her disappearance. She did leave with that man at 11:30 p.m. Police have identified the man that Dana was with on the night she vanished. He traveled to Atlanta, Georgia after her disappearance, and police questioned him about Dana after he was arrested there on unrelated charges of marijuana possession and driving on a suspended license. Authorities have not named him publicly, but they are calling him a person of interest in her case. He told his questioners that he and Dana parted ways after they left the bar, and he never saw her again after that. She left all of her belongings behind, including her hairbrush and toothbrush. She does not have credit cards, debit cards, checking account, cell phone, or a car. And at the time of her disappearance, she was 23. She would now be 39. She's 5'2" tall and weighs 98 pounds. She has brown hair that was colored brown at the roots and black at the ends with red highlights and green or hazel eyes. She was last known to be wearing a black shirt with the word Rebel and silver lettering on the front and blue jeans. Dana has a tattoo of a teddy bear with wings and the name Dylan on her upper left arm. She is blind in her left eye. Dana has a 2-inch scar along her lower spine and a staple scar on her right shoulder. Her ears are pierced one time each. If you have any information regarding Dana's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Sedalia, Missouri Police Department at 660-827-7823 or 660-826-8100. Or the Missouri State Highway Patrol at 573-526-6178, or their toll-free number 866-362-6422. Or now there is a private investigator involved now on the family's behalf. Her name's Leslie. You can call her 626-800-3039 and see if we can help get Dana located and back to her family as well.
Mhm.
Queenie Albini says, I'm here. We can start. LOL.
Mhm.
All right.
Still together.
It's another we've been covering for quite some time now. Would love to see a resolution to this one for sure. Trying to locate her flyer real quick here. I know it's in here somewhere. Maybe it's in the other file. Hang on. I'll find it. Just give me a minute. Search and destroy mission here. The joys of doing shows live. I'm telling you, it's fun.
Right.
Right.
Yep. Okay, gotta get past. Where you at? I know you're on here somewhere. It's either I go too far or I don't go far enough. Where is she? Cynthia, right? Yeah, Cynthia. Yay. No, there it is. Hope I get past the Gonzalez is spelled with an S on the end and get to the Gonzalez is spelled with a Z on the end. Goodness gracious.
Right.
Okay. This is Cynthia Renee Gonzalez, September 22nd, 1991, Arlington, Texas. She was reported missing to the Arlington, Texas Police Department on September 22nd, 1991. Cynthia's body was discovered in a creek bed off County Road 313 in Johnson County, Texas. It's later determined that Cynthia died from multiple gunshot wounds. Cynthia was reportedly at her apartment with her boyfriend when her husband stopped by to deliver their daughter for a weekend visit. Sometime later, Cynthia left for an appointment without her customary bodyguard. She was never seen again. Serial killer Kenneth Allen McDuff, 1946 to 1998, was looked at in connection with Cynthia's death. Jim Ford, longtime Arlington police officer and renowned homicide investigator, had looked at McDuff in connection with Cynthia's case for going on 18 years. He was never able to make a match or a mismatch. McDuff was believed to have abducted a victim from a car wash in Austin, Texas. Cynthia's car, a 2-seat Pontiac Fiero, was seen parked at a car wash in Arlington the day she disappeared. There were similarities in the Austin case and Cynthia's case. He kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and killed his victim at a car wash in Austin. He dumped the bodies of several of his victims in rural areas. He killed several victims by shooting them. Investigators could not place McDuff in the Arlington area and could not determine whether he was out on the streets at the time, but could not find him as being incarcerated at that time either. Other persons of interest have come up and have been cleared as well. McDuff has since been ruled out by DNA testing. If you have any information regarding Cynthia's death, please call 817-459-5772. If you wish to remain anonymous and possibly receive a reward of up to $1,250, call Toronto County, Texas Crime Stoppers at 817-469-8477. And I also see Heather over there. Or not one hell, it was Dana. Dana was saying there's a $1,500 reward in Dana Bruce's case. Oh, okay. I was reading that as wrong. But yeah, if you have any information regarding Cynthia's homicide, please get that information called in and see if we can't help get somebody brought to justice and get some justice for Cynthia's family and friends. So yeah, good. Thank you, Ellen. There's a $1,500 reward in Dana Bruce's case. I'll have to add that to our flyer if I can figure out
Absolutely.
exactly where I can squeeze it in.
Right.
Yes, this is a case that really fires me up as far as wanting to see more emphasis and importance put on these juveniles, even if they're considered a runaway. And I'm going to get into it here. Yes, I did see that they found a child's remains in Rose Hill. I was just reading about there prior to the show, and it sounds like they have been there for quite some time from the sounds of it. I'll have to find out for sure, but it sounds like they might have been there for quite some time. I'll pull up if you can find that article, Derek. We can kind of cover that here after I cover Zubia here. I can figure out what in the holy bloody blue blazes I did with her. It's because I'm in the wrong folder. That's why. It's gonna be one of them nights, folks. Apologize. Okay, this is Zubia Hernandez. Hang on a minute. Let's see. Jamie Jasmine Zubia Hernandez. And she was initially reported as missing or as a runaway from her foster home in Athena, Kansas on June 9, 2012. Prior to her disappearance, Jamie had recently been prosecuted in a juvenile court for drug possession. She was due in court for sentencing shortly after her disappearance. She never showed up and was never seen by her foster family again. There was unfortunately very little media coverage on Jamie's disappearance, likely due to her runaway status, which again needs to be corrected. 3 years later, during the early morning hours of May 30th, 2015, a Kansas City resident called the police to report a shootout in the 2500 block of Ridge Avenue in Kansas City. According to the witnesses, two vehicles fired shots at each other and a female passenger in one of the vehicles was killed as a result. The female passenger's body was just dumped on the side of the road and the vehicles drove off before the police arrived. 2 days later, on June 1st, 2015, authorities announced that the slain female was identified as Jamie. The identity of Jamie's killer remains unknown, as does the identity of the driver in the car Jamie was riding in when she was shot. Additionally, Jamie's whereabouts from June 2012 to May 2015 still remain a mystery. Although she was ultimately found in Kansas City, it's unknown where she stayed or how she survived during those 3 years. Investigators said they received a tip that Jamie was in Kansas City back in 2013, but when they followed said lead, they were unable to find her. At the time, police were searching for a late 1990s or early 2000s white Ford F-150 with flare sides, tinted windows, 20-inch chrome rims, and a touchscreen device in the cab. The truck was located June 2nd, 2015, unoccupied, and was taken and processed for evidence. If you have any information regarding Jamie's murder, please call the Athena, Kansas Police Department at 785-989-4521, or you can call the tips line anonymously at 816-474-8477, or you can call the KBI at 1-800-572-7463, or you can scan that Say It Here QR code on the Crime Stoppers banner there, and you can submit your tip through that as well. But yeah, this is the case that really gets me fired up about needing to make sure we're putting as much emphasis and importance on runaways as possible, because situations like they don't always happen, situations like this, but they can. So we need to make sure we're protecting these kids and getting them back to safe places to try to help keep them from getting into a situation like this.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
mean, she was only 13 years old. So, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, she's riding in a vehicle with somebody. They get into it with somebody. Shots fired. She's hit. Person she was in the car with just says, okay, I'm going to shove her on the concrete and take off. And that's what they did. And she died there in the street. You know, and it's a very sad thing. You know, and like the flyer alluded to, I mean, they have no idea where she was for those 3 years. They don't know how she survived or anything like that.
That's
So,
crazy.
I would love to see somebody be arrested and held accountable for her homicide. And I'm hoping by keeping this case out there, we can do that.
Absolutely.
You know, because it just needs to be, somebody needs to be held accountable. You know, the person that shot her needs to be held accountable. The person that just dumped her out on the street needs to be held accountable. And hopefully we can make that happen.
Right.
My understanding was, and something I was reading was stating they tracked down the owner of that truck, and police talked to that owner of that truck and he said, well, I let somebody borrow it, but he didn't know the name of the person he let borrow it, supposedly. I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in vehicles where, you know, the cops are like, who owns it? And I'm like, I don't know. I just asked for a ride, man. But
Yeah. And that's what I was reading on KWCH. Was in the backyard of the home. Investigators found human remains, the size of which police say indicate it was a youth. Further, police said the state of decomposition further indicates that the suspected homicide could have happened years ago. And they were also saying how they discovered that homicide was apparently they were called to the residence. I can't remember how it exactly went, but there was a person barricaded in saying they were going to harm themselves. And then it was determined they didn't have any weapons. So they made entry. And somehow after they made entry, they found evidence of these remains that were there and located them. So it'll be interesting to find out exactly who it is. See if that solves a missing persons case as well.
yeah.
Yeah. Trevon Strong Jr. has been located safe. Haven't said anything about whether Trevon Strong Sr. was in custody or not. I haven't seen anything along those lines. Did they say on Cake whether he was in custody or not?
It just says he's home safe with his family.
Okay. Well, that's good. Yep, you're very welcome, Roxanne. I just, want to see somebody held accountable for this because it's just tragic. I mean, yeah, apparently she must have been hanging with the wrong folks and stuff, but she didn't deserve to die for it. And that's for
No,
darn
not
sure. Did not deserve that at all. That's another thing that drives me insane anymore is the fact that people seem to think that, the answer to solving all these problems is to pull out a gun. Get mad at somebody. Oh, I'm going to have to shoot you. Cut me off in traffic. I'm going to shoot you. Look at me wrong. I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. Just stupid.
It is.
It's like put the dadgum guns down and just live and let live. Period. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous. But anyhow, now we're going to be talking about Ariana Sanchez. Is that correct? Is that who I saw you had up there? Yes.
Yeah, Chris is making a comment about how that case we covered a few minutes ago reminds me of Colton Rossborough. I had shared a Facebook page last week dedicated to finding Colton. And after the show, I went and checked it out, and I probably won't share it again. Not that I'm against it, but the page was calling out people saying they for sure took Colton's life. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they know, but to me, that seems like not a good idea to just call 3 people murderers on social media. But there is a page out there if anybody's interested in looking for it, but we probably won't share it just because we don't know any facts and we don't know what they know.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I was just recently asked to get Ariana's flyer route rolling again. And again, I added Wichita's. I'll get to that here in a second. But she's missing from Hutchinson, Kansas initially since July 16, 2024. And Ariana goes by Gracie. She left on foot from her friend's house and told another family friend she was going to bring her home. She never arrived at home. It's believed she could still be in Hutchinson, or she could still be in Wichita. here in Kansas, Hutchinson, Kansas is known by a lot of people as just simply Hutch. I have to put that out there. Ariana's 15. She's 5'2", weighs 115 pounds, has dark brown hair with blonde highlights and brown eyes. She has a snake tattoo on her collarbone, which you can see in one of the photos up there. She also has a tattoo with a feather and some words in the inside of her arm, tattoo with flowers and a moon that covers her entire back. Ariana has her belly button pierced, and she was last known to be wearing a crop top and ripped jeans. Of course, it's been a couple months, so I'm sure that's probably inaccurate now. But if you have any information regarding Ariana's disappearance, or you know her whereabouts, please call the Hutchinson, Kansas Police Department at 620-694-2800 or 620-694-2816 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And I was asked to add the Wichita Police Department information on there, so 316-660-9254 or 316-660-9456 or 316-263-6011. And I even have the Wichita Police Department case number on there as well. So let's see if we can get Ariana located and make sure she's safe and sound and get her back to where she needs to be.
Absolutely.
Because now do we not only have Hutchinson PD looking for her, now we have Wichita PD looking for her. So
Right. You know, Ricky, I looked up what our numbers were for missing juveniles and missing adults. And our juveniles have went up. I do believe last week it was 188 that we had missing, and now it's back up to 203. And then the adults was 412, and now it's down to 400.
cool.
But it's just crazy how they fluctuate from week to week, even.
Yeah, it definitely is. They fluctuate almost daily.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Yeah, my brother made a comment down there. Wish you could have set up a booth at the state fair this week. That would have been cool to do.
Right.
But Lord only knows how much they're charging for their booths down there. That's the thing that puts a halt to a lot of me wanting to do that, because I just can't afford the booth fees. So I can't do it.
Right.
Maybe eventually. We'll see.
God willing, and the creek don't rise, huh?
Yeah. Right. Definitely, for sure. All right. And let's see. We're going to talk about Mr. Wembley here. He's one that I've done before and was asked to do again. Presley Wembley, missing from Wichita since September 5th, 2024. He's 14, 5'11", 120 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. Don't have much more than that, unfortunately, but if you have any information regarding Presley's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9254 or 316-660-9456 or 316-263-6011 or the KBI at 785-296-4017, and see if we can get Presley located and back to where he needs to be. That's a good question, Queenie. I like that. I wonder if some company would sponsor it, like State Farm or something. That's a good question. I'd have to research that and maybe reach out to some and talk to them. And just to let you know, they're not charging Oscar for the murder of AJ Perez. Well, why not? Do they not have enough to charge him, or do you know? And then I got another question for you, Candy. What's that belt you got over your shoulder? I notice things that have to do with pro wrestling because I'm a big pro wrestling nut. So,
Right.
matter of fact, I'm wearing my Ultimate Warrior Legend shirt tonight.
I posted the information from the KSN article that's going across the bottom of the screen. Essentially, the only new information is the police are saying that they do not believe the body is related to any missing persons cases that they're investigating. They're going to do an autopsy soon.
Well, that's interesting. That is interesting, unless it was a kid that just never was ever reported missing.
Scary.
Did you read Presley's flyer already?
Yes, I did read Presley's. And this is John J. Gonzalez. He's missing from Lawrence, Kansas since September 7th, 2024. He's 16. He's 5'7", 120 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. Unfortunately, I don't have much more than that. And if you have any information regarding John's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Lawrence, Kansas Police Department at 785-832-7509 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And see if we can get John located and back to where he needs to be there in Lawrence. Hopefully he's okay, but let's help make sure that he is and get him back to where he needs to be.
Absolutely.
It's the NXT Championship belt. And on AJ, they say nobody. See, I don't buy that because I've seen many, many, many cases that were tried and murderers convicted when there was nobody. So I don't buy the nobody thing. So I know some of them say nobody, no murder, but still, come on. There have been cases that have been successfully tried and convicted with nobody.
Absolutely.
Well, it sounds like that Oscar guy has got a lot of problems besides the AJ case, so maybe he will go away for a while. But
Yeah.
even if he doesn't, at this point, I think anybody in that area is probably going to be a little leery of that guy.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've heard some stories about him, and I'm like,
Yeah.
not somebody you want to mess with. That's for sure.
This is Elia Ransom. She is missing from Wichita, Kansas since July 11th, 2024. She's 16, 5'2", 110 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. Don't have much more than that, unfortunately, but if you have any information regarding Elia's disappearance, so you know her whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9254 or 316-660-9456 or 316-263-6011 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can get Elia located and back to where she needs to be.
Absolutely. You know, I try to do the 1-800 runaway number every show. Sometimes we don't get to it, but I would just like to put it out there. You know, if you're a minor, a young adult, and you're out there on the streets and you would like to go home,
Mm-hmm.
there's help out there for you. You know, they can get you help getting you home, whatever. But the number is 1-800-RUNAWAY or 1-800-786-2929. You know, and it's 24/7. You know, and if you can't remember that, you can always call 988. It's a crisis line. And, you know, they can get you in touch with who you need to be in touch with. And
Right.
with that number, you can call it from any phone or you can text it or you can get online and do an online chat. So, you know, there's options out there for these kids that, you know, are scared to go home because they're afraid of the consequences.
Good deal. And we'll kind of backtrack a little bit here. We were talking about, setting up the booth at the state fair and everything. And actually, this will be the next time I set up the Kansas Missing and Unsolved table. And that will be September 28th. Doors open at 5 o'clock. It'll be at the Salina Field House at 140 North 5th here in Salina. So I'll have the table set up, and of course I'll have flyers up, and I have a binder that I've got flyers in, and of course I've got the child ID kits I'll be handing out as well. So yeah, if you guys want to stop by and say hi and check out some pretty awesome wrestling action, stop by and check that out on September 28th.
That's awesome.
Yeah, should be a good night. And this one, I'm still trying to figure out. Because I was told that she had been located and was home, but yet she's still coming up as missing on KBI. So we'll go ahead and cover her anyway, just to be on the safe side. And if I find out that she is definitely located, then I'll update her flyer to reflect that. But this is Shasta Walker, missing from Wichita, Kansas since August 15th, 2024. She's 43, 5'3", 160 pounds, brown hair and blue eyes. Her friends and family are worried for Shasta and her safety and well-being. And she's 43. She is 5'3", 160 pounds, brown hair and blue eyes. Her ears are pierced. If you have any information regarding Shasta's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-268-4181 or 316-263-6011 or KBI at 785-296-4017, and see if we can't verify that Shasta's been located safe, and hopefully she is. That'd
Absolutely.
be nice to know. I see May is not there. What happened to her?
She's not feeling too well. She went to go
Uh-oh.
lay down.
Okay, well, hope she gets to feeling better.
I'll tell her. I hope she does too.
Annette Lawless made a post about Shasta, and there's a few people saying she was located, but when people asked them to prove it, they didn't do it. I don't know why multiple people would say she was safe and then not prove it.
Well, supposedly a family member of her had posted that Shasta apparently had called her or something, and I don't know, called or messaged and said she was safe. And I had commented on that. They commented it on her flyer in Kansas Missing. So I replied back to that comment and let them know that, well, Shasta's going to have to call the Wichita Police Department or go down to the police department so they can verify she is safe and okay, so they can clear that missing person's case, because until they do, it's going to remain open and they're going to
Right.
continue to look for her. So yeah. And there's another case, same scenario, being told that they contacted family, but still listed as missing, and trying to get that cleared up as well. And that's actually Emily Ibarra that we had covered in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Supposedly her mom's heard from her and she's alive and okay, but she's still listed on KBI. And I've let the person know that told me to relay to her mom that Emily's going to either have to go to the police department or have them come to her so they can verify that she's safe and okay, so they can clear that. And so far apparently that hasn't happened because she's still on KBI. So trying to get that one cleared up as well. Hopefully that is the case, but we will see.
Right.
And this is T. Montez Hurt. We haven't covered him for a little while, so I thought I'd work him back in there. He's missing from Lee Summit or Kansas City, Missouri. It's since February 1st of this year. He's 19, 5'10", 135 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. He won't be 20 until December, I found out. He's originally from Tennessee. He had a mental breakdown on January 31st, 2024 in Kansas City around 3:45 in the morning. He went to St. Luke's Hospital located in the Plaza area for treatment. After his episode, T. Montez's family purchased him a Z-Trip to the Greyhound bus station so he could travel to St. Louis to be with his grandmother. He left his cell phone behind in the Z-Trip. He has not had any contact with anyone since. He does not know his way around Kansas City as he is from Tennessee. He was last seen walking on Troost at the beginning of the month, which would have been in January. So again, he's 19, he's 5'10", weighs 135 pounds, has black hair, brown eyes. He was last known to be wearing a royal blue Price Chopper polo shirt, dark green sweatpants, and black high-top Nike shoes. If you have any information regarding T. Montez's disappearance or you know his whereabouts, please call Missouri State Highway Patrol, Troop A at 816-622-0800, or the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department at 816-234-5043 or 816-234-5111. And see if we can't get T. Montez located and back to where he needs to be.
Absolutely.
It's amazing he's still missing.
Yeah.
Yeah. My brother says, still here, was getting bugged by nurses, dressing change, vitals, drugs, all the fun stuff. No, I bet. And this is one that I did. Did I do that one yesterday or today? I don't think I did it yesterday. I think I did it this morning, actually. Now that I think about that one, it's Avron. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It's Hurley, I guess. Missing from Lawrence, Kansas since September 8th of this year. He's 16, 5'5", 190 pounds, brown hair, hazel eyes. Don't have much more than that, but if you have any information regarding Avron's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Douglas County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 785-841-0007 or 785-832-6190 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Avron located safe and back to where he needs to be. Yeah, I'm sure there are. I've heard about the homeless encampments there in Kansas City.
Yeah.
See what happens though. And this is another one I did today. Alana Lee, missing from Wichita, Kansas since September 9th of this year. So just a couple of days. 14 years old, 5 foot, 100 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. Don't have much more than that, but if you have any information regarding Alana's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9254 or 316-660-9456 or 316-263-6011 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Alana located and back to where she needs to be. And this is one that I just popped back up tonight because we've covered her before. And sadly, she is missing again. This is Isabella Miller, missing from Topeka, Kansas since today. She's 14, 5'3" to 5'5", weighs 150 pounds. Has dirty blonde hair that was last known to be dyed a dark blue, almost black, and it is cut extremely short, and blue-green eyes. She was dropped off at school at 7:30 this morning, but she never attended classes. She was last known to be wearing a light red hoodie and black pants. She's also carrying a red and black checkered full-side backpack. If you have any information regarding Isabella's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Topeka, Kansas Police Department at 785-368-9247 or 785-368-9551 or 785-368-9200 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can get Isabella located and back to where she needs to be. And as a quick footnote, that far right-hand picture of Isabella was from when she was located the last time. So I thought I would add it to the flyer this time. So
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get her located and back to where she needs to be again. And I reassured her mom tonight because that's how I found out she was missing. And her mom got a hold of me and let me know. And I already reassured her mom that as long as she keeps doing this, I'll keep getting flyers made and put out there. So it goes back to what I was talking about with Jamie Zubia Hernandez, and want to make sure, even though these kids, you know, go missing or run away or however you want to put it, that we're making every effort to get them put back to where they need to be put so they're safe. You know, it's just crazy.
It is.
So one thing that's always bothered me is you know, when people just, you know, they automatically hear runaway and it's just like, oh, they're a runaway, so they automatically assume bad kid or you know, something like that. And it's just not, it's not always the case, because I've learned in my time as a foster parent that it's not always the kids that get them put in the system. Sometimes it's the decisions of the parent that gets the kids put in the system. So, you know, so when they use that term runaway, I don't like the stigma that it puts on the kid. And, you know, that's why for a long time I never used the word runaway on my flyers. And then I had a law enforcement agency say, please put that on there because our funds are getting blown out, asking why that we have so many kids missing. So please put on there runaway. So I wanted to make sure I still emphasized missing, but still included runaway. So I went with the missing endangered runaway who went missing. So the way it kind of emphasizes missing more than it does runaway, because I just really feel like I don't care whether they think they run away or not, they need to be found.
Absolutely.
Because like I've said before, you don't know if they ran away of their own accord. You don't know if somebody online had been grooming them to run or anything like that. So
Yeah.
to me, it's very important to make sure that even though you think they're a runaway, that they're being looked for.
Yeah.
What was that?
I just seen weekly prayers. I don't.
Oh, there it is. He put it on the scroller instead of the comment.
Yeah, for some reason it was on the banner, which was way too many words for a banner.
Yeah. Yep. Is it that time already?
That was the last flyer in there. I don't know if you missed it. It seems like we had fewer than usual.
Well, I had 2 more, but they were located safe, so I had to pull them down. So
That's a good problem to have.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is. I did. I actually had 2 more listed, but then I updated them to located safe earlier today, so didn't need to have them covered now. So I just want to thank everybody for joining us and going over these cases with us tonight. And as always, it was a pretty good show. And just really, just thank everybody for joining, sharing. Make sure you share the show out there, the flyers out there. Make sure we're helping them get found and brought home. And as far as the unsolved homicides go, make sure we're doing all we can to bring justice to the victims and their families, as well as making sure somebody's held accountable for it too. So, but Heavenly Father, I do want to thank you for bringing us together tonight and, getting us together to go over these cases. And again, just I pray that people have the right hearts, the right ears, that have information that can help these cases along, and we'll call them in or use whatever means they have to get them in there, whether it's Crime Stoppers calling it, emailing it, texting it, whatever. But just pray that they do the right thing and give up what they know. And so we see each other next week. Everybody stay safe. God bless. Take care. And